Hey, sports card fans, it's John Wade, Boggs fan. Hope you're all doing well. When I watch YouTube videos, it's either on my phone or sometimes on my computer at work over my lunch break. So it's not always easy for me to comment on some videos, especially if I want to give a long, detailed comment. And I've been enjoying Greg Midlife Sports Cards channel and the videos that he has been putting out, especially his Monday videos. For his Monday videos, he goes over answers that viewers have provided in the comments of a question that he posed from the previous week. I really love his interaction with the viewers of his channel and his videos. But the last two Monday videos, I just didn't have an opportunity. I wanted to give a more lengthy response because I loved the question, and it was more of a, hey, nice video type thing. Really enjoyed it. I wanted to give a fuller response. And so after this Monday's video, I reached out to Greg and I said, would you mind if I do sort of a response type video? I wanted to go into his video, what he talked about, and answer his question from my standpoint. And he said, yeah, sure, John, that's a great idea. Would love to see what your video is in your answer to his question. So the question he posed that he discussed on Monday is, are you a buyer or seller in a down vintage card market? Now, I'm not going to go into the entire analysis that Greg did. He did a great job. In fact, I'm going to put a link to that video in the description of this video. I encourage you to watch that video, check it out. He does a great job, and he got a great range of answers on sort of both sides of the question. And so what I wanted to do is give my answer to his question. So again, his question was, as a collector, are you seeing a down market in vintage cards? He's been doing an analysis, and I've seen it as well, and I'm sure you have as well, that certain vintage cards, not all, but certain vintage cards are going down in price. There's a softening in the market. And do you see this as a buying opportunity? Do you see this as a time to sell and get out of certain cards? Or do you hold steady, maybe not buy anything or sell anything and just wait until things sort of settle down? Well, my answer as a collector is that I'm always buying when I have funds available, of course. And there's just so many cards out there that I don't feel that I need to wait for certain opportunities to buy. So I look at it, and he made a great comment or analysis with the stock market, and it's called dollar cost averaging. So if you're investing in a certain stock, or most likely a mutual fund, where you have, say, $100 every month going into a mutual fund, well, that $100 on one day buys X number of shares of that mutual fund. The next month, if that mutual fund price is down, you'll end up buying a little bit more shares with that same $100. The next month, if the mutual fund is up, then your $100 may buy fewer shares, but over the long haul, in theory, the price or value of that mutual fund will go up in price, and you'll even out the lows and highs, and you don't have to worry about timing the market. I don't try to time vintage card prices. In fact, my timing has been terrible. I really started my vintage collection shortly after I started my YouTube channel. So we're talking maybe around the summer of 2020, which was right at the start of the huge boom in vintage card prices. So I definitely did not get in at the right time. And I'm okay with that, because to me, when I buy a card at a particular time, if I feel that I get a deal on that card at that point in time, I'm happy. Once I have that card in my collection, I don't really care what the value of that card does. I'm more of a hoarder rather than a collector. Now, I know there's some collectors out there that occasionally do sell cards, and there's nothing wrong with that. We all collect in our own unique way. But as I said, I'm more of a hoarder. I rarely sell a card. So when I buy a card, I don't care what the price is going to be in a month. I'm not looking for necessarily an accumulation price in a month, 6 months, a year for me to then sell that card at maybe a profit and use that money, back into the hobby. Conversely, if I buy a card and in a month, 6 months, a year, the value of that card goes down, it doesn't really bother me because I own the card. I have the card. That was the ultimate goal for me, is to own the card. Now, do I like it when card prices go down? Yes. Does that hurt the value of my current collection? Yes. But in terms of me acquiring new cards, I can stretch my limited hobby dollars further. So I definitely do not try to time the market. I don't see certain buying opportunities. Now, if I had a lot more hobby funds to spend on cards, that may change my philosophy a little bit, only to the fact that if I see more buying opportunities, if cards really go down, I would definitely wouldn't hold back. And I would spend as much money as I could on cards, which technically I sort of am right now. Again, with my hobby dollars, whatever money I can spend on cards, I do spend on cards. That's what that hobby budget is for. But if prices go up, if anything, I'm not saying it forces my hand for certain cards, but it may be a case where if I know certain cards are going up in value, I may try to pick up some of those players' cards that I know are going up, because for certain ones, if they get too expensive, they may get out of my budget range, or I may be forced to buy lower grade copies in order to afford that card. I'm not quite there yet in my vintage collection, though. I have several different projects, as you know, my 2 100 card lists, and my general overall goal of buying as many Hall of Fame cards of every set from 1948 to 1980. So I have a long ways to go. So there are so many opportunities for me out there to pick up cards that I don't have, that if I see that, for example, Pete Rose cards start going up, or Willie Mays cards are starting to go down, am I necessarily going to change my focus and say, well, Pete Rose, he's not a Hall of Famer. I know that may be a bad example, but in my eyes, he's a Hall of Famer, and he's on my Hall of Fame list of players. Okay. I'm using that example because he recently passed away, and sometimes that leads to at least maybe a short-term bump up in his card prices. Maybe not the greatest example, but I think you can follow along here. I may not necessarily say, wow, I need to start grabbing Pete Rose cards, while at the same time ignoring the fact that I may be able to purchase some Willie Mays cards now with my limited budget that I may not have been able to afford prior to the price drop. So really, I'm always out there looking for bargains. I mean, really, that's the name of the game for me, is a card out there that I'm looking to buy at a particular point in time, a bargain based on current comps. If I can get a card for a decent price, I'll go after it. Whether it's a good deal because the card prices are going up, or it's a good deal at the time now, and if I was maybe a little bit more patient or waited, I maybe could have saved a little bit more money for that card. It's all about the moment. I have X amount of dollars. I have $50 that I can spend. Well, what can I buy for $50? And if I can find a deal on any card for $50 and I think I get a good deal, I'm going to get the card. So, Greg, that was a great question that you posed. Again, there were answers across the board. Some people said, I'm using this as a buying opportunity. Others said that, they're just going to wait back and see, because if prices go down even further, then again, that will give them more opportunities to spend their hobby dollars and stretch their budget. And some of them even said, hey, I may just take a hold and just see where things are going. I'm saving up money for the National. I think there was one person who responded that they save up their hobby dollars rather than spend on a consistent basis, and say save up for Strongsville or the National. And again, that's their way of collecting, and maybe they're taking a wait and see and hope that by next year's National, prices have gone down even further and they can take that National budget and buy more cards. So, Greg, I hope you liked my lengthy, hopefully not too rambling answer to your question, and I really like your question for next week, in which I'm probably going to do another response video. I may not be doing this on a weekly basis, do it for every one of Greg's videos in which he poses a question, but I like the opportunity of doing a sort of response video to those videos that Greg does, because he asks a specific question and wants people's responses to that question. So his question for next week, which, like I said, I'm probably going to do another video on, is if you had to start from scratch, ground zero, starting a vintage collection, and you had $1,000 to spend on 3 cards. You had to buy 3 cards with that $1,000. What 3 cards would you buy? So that's going to be an interesting question. I'm going to have to put some thought into that. I have some general ideas already, but I want to do some number crunching, and I want to give some specific examples, not a this card, and this card. I want to do in what grade based on where current prices are and things like that. So, Greg, I really love, like I said, I love your channel. I love your Monday videos. I hope you enjoyed my response to it, and that's all I have for you. So until next time, thanks for watching.